You know, he is a specialist in failure.
Extension.
That's the wrong information. Yeah, why do you look at me?
Arsene Wenger's been in Japan for a year. He doesn't know anything about English football.
Robin van Persie reveals what made him leave Arsenal.
I always listened to that little boy inside of me. That boy was screaming for my life.
Embarrassing, but like Thai. They care more about Arsene Wenger than they do Arsenal.
Date: the 23rd of February 2008. Target: Eduardo da Silva, Arsenal's talented young striker, leading them to a Premier League title with the team unbeaten in 28 games and top of the league in February. 10 more games and Arsenal could be champions. Location: the St Andrews Stadium, home of Birmingham City, a place where careers go to die. The stage is set to ruin Arsenal and cause them irreparable psychological damage. Objective: break his legs. Because we can't have Arsenal win the league. Oh, no. You want to stop them at all costs. And maybe gaslight your fans at the end of the game. Tell them they threw the game away while you clink your wine glasses and celebrate their downfall.
Arsenal have thrown away 2 points against 10 men again. They were in...
Date: 27th of February 2010. Target: Aaron Ramsey, Arsenal's rising young star trying to get his career off the ground. So why not end the career before it begins? Location: the Bet365 Stadium, the home of Stoke City, another place where careers go to die. Objective: break his legs. And that is exactly what Shawcross did on the day. Mission accomplished, and Arsenal are left licking their wounds once again. The injuries to Eduardo and Ramsey are just the tip of the iceberg, and the genesis of a long list of Arsenal players targeted with disgusting challenges by opposition players. Season after season, game after game, title race after title race, Wenger's men are being brutalized and the authorities keep turning a blind eye. If Wenger complained, he was meant to look like a whiny professor who was just seeking excuses. They would embarrass him and make him look like a fool. If the Arsenal fans raised concerns, the agenda was that the Arsenal players were diminutive and weak, short, briefly constructed. Men against boys was the agenda the media spun, and all you needed to do to beat Arsenal was kick them off the park for 90 minutes and the referees would 100% enable it. Wenger was in a deep, dark well, and no one was coming to save him. But you see, it wasn't always like this.
Press conference at Highbury today, and
Wenger was once the prize pony.
Difficult to find your place.
Young, educated, handsome. He came into England from Japan and completely revolutionized English football from top to bottom. He introduced Eastern methods of recovery, changed players' dietary habits, cut booze and all sorts of drugs to boost productivity, and even invented methods that could only be described as extraterrestrial at the time. You see, Wenger built what could only be described as the greatest team the continent had ever seen. The Invincibles. Immortal spirits, not men. There is no way these guys were made of flesh and blood. A team that went 49 games unbeaten and ravaged the entire land. They spared no one. They could play in all sorts of ways and had the balls of steel to raise their fists the traditional English way as well. No one had ever seen anything like this. Nobody had any answers to their chaos. They were basically unstoppable. And to top it all off, Wenger gave everybody a fair shot. I mean, his team was made up of everyone originating from all sorts of backgrounds. He was in fact the first manager in the league to field a team with majority black players, with 9 out of 11 guys on the pitch one day possessing melanated qualities. But Wenger would soon discover that not everybody was impressed by his apparently messianic qualities. And a big red dot will soon be drawn on his back.
Now, new ways must be found to produce crude oil.
The mid-2000s saw the arrival of various oil billionaires into the Premier League. Billionaires with, let's just say, questionable personalities. Their endless cash reserves meant that the league was about to experience unprecedented levels of liquidity injections. Liquidity injections at a level that the world had never seen before. These guys took over a few clubs and laid down their ambitious plans before the English Premier League. The Premier League loved these plans. And although clubs like Arsenal were worried about the introduction of these very dark men with their seemingly endless cash reserves, the league and the authorities saw no cause for alarm within these conversations. Meanwhile, Arsenal were finalizing their new Emirates Stadium around the same time. The club envisaged more ticket sales, better merchandise sales, bigger brand deals, bigger TV deals, and all those kind of things.
We're delighted today to be announcing a significant partnership which will lead us into this new chapter in the history of Arsenal.
However, things were about to take a dark turn.
Down 1.7% here, a loss of 37 points or so. Apple shares are just getting hammered this morning.
Traders here working the phone say a lot of their customers are freaked out, waiting to see how low the Dow will go.
What in the world is happening on Wall Street?
2007-2008 brought about one of the worst financial crises the world had ever seen.
Was the worst day on Wall Street since the crash of 1987.
Get this, a global financial crisis right when Arsenal owed loans in the hundreds of millions of dollars. This was a perfect recipe for the new oil men in town at these other clubs to leapfrog Arsenal. And that is exactly what they did. Arsenal's nasty loans meant that they now had to sell their best players every year in order to pay up. And these rival clubs ravaged them, taking their best players season after season, year after year.
Are you happy with how things stand? You're top of the league, Matthew.
No, at the end of the day, it is not good enough. What would give you the impression to think that?
This decline meant that Arsenal became non-competitive against their bigger and richer rivals who now dominated the landscape. The years of pain had taken a toll on Wenger. He wanted to call it quits, but you don't leave the love of your life when she's sick and in a hospital bed. This love would come at a huge cost. On the 28th of August 2011, Arsenal will go to Old Trafford, a ground where Wenger once claimed a league title. But this time, things were different. They arrived with a pitiable squad and an even worse bench. What happened that day could only be classified as a human rights violation. Arsenal suffered their heaviest defeat since 1927 by losing 8-2 in a hellish match. And every single Arsenal fan wanted Wenger's head. All hell broke loose at the Emirates after that loss, and Arsenal rushed into the transfer market for some panic buys to appease the fans. Mikel Arteta of Everton and Per Saka of Werder Bremen joined Arsenal on deadline day of 2011. But you know what? These deals actually turned out to be a blessing. Arteta would become Arsenal captain and Saka the vice captain. They would break Arsenal's trophy drought and win some little silverware here and there. But Wenger, in his infinite wisdom, noticed something strange about Arteta. You see, Arteta had somewhat of a decent career, but he was a journeyman. He started his playing career at La Masia, the world's best footballing institution, and would travel to France to play for PSG.
Because Ronaldinho no coach in front of me, so imagine.
Arteta would then go to Scotland to play for Rangers, and then England to play at Everton. But Wenger noticed he was a whiz kid. You see, even during his playing days, Mikel Arteta would spend countless hours on the phone with his big brother, Pep Guardiola. I mean, The world's best manager Pep Guardiola taking advice from a guy without a UEFA license? This was when Arsenal and Wenger came up with a very interesting plan. Wenger urged Arteta to become a manager, and when the perfect opportunity arose in 2016, Arteta joined Guardiola at Man City and built one of the best sides the Premier League has ever seen. Arsenal now had a mole in the machine, absorbing all the information needed to build a dynasty. So as fate will have it, on December 16, 2019, when the time was right, Arsenal's hierarchy made its move to retrieve their prized mole. The first thing Arteta wanted to fix was Arsenal's reputation, so he went about recruiting guys with tremendous size and muscles.
We complained about Arsenal being too soft for years. Well, they're certainly not soft now.
It's so bad that Premier League clubs actually wrote a letter to the PGMOL, voicing their concerns about Arsenal's so-called dark arts. And why would you blame them when Arsenal have guys like Declan Rice, who's the world's best defensive shield for a back four? He eats up blades of grass as he runs around dominating everyone with his 6'2" frame. How on earth do you beat this guy? How do you even conquer him? Or how about Riccardo Calafiori, the wicked Italian Maldini regent who fears absolutely no one? He's so big at 6'2" and is so smooth. His spidery legs mean that he always pokes the ball away from opponents and maintains a front-footed and aggressive approach at all times. Look, Arsenal have so many bully tactics, it's practically impossible for us to go through all of them in one video. Most of their guys are over 6 foot tall, as we've already touched. And this is the face of the new Arsenal. Brash, big, ugly, and a very disgusting side to come up against.
Exactly what Arteta wants them to do, even if it's tourism, mid-football with 4 centre-backs and 3 DMs. Absolutely disgusting. And I watched this shit, man. Arsenal weren't... Inshallah, we get a corner code. Gabriel heads it in. Disgusting football, disgusting team, disgusting players, disgusting fan base, and most of all, disgusting manager.
And look, Arteta even takes the size thing one step further by using a complete back four of 4 centre-backs. These giant players also make Arsenal the best in the world at set pieces. Like really, I'm not exaggerating when I say Arsenal's corner kick routines now have fans turning their backs like penalty kicks. But guess what? Arsenal aren't just Stoke City or Burnley with oil wells. Arteta has built a tactical amoeba. And it's this flexible approach that makes Arteta's Arsenal so dangerous. This new Arsenal is tough as nails and ready to rumble. A stark contrast from the Arsenal sides of the past. Truly, Wenger built a beautiful house. And Mikel Arteta might just have turned on the lights.